Good morning, welcome back to the workshop. It is great to have you here, and in today's episode we're going to have a look at this Alfawise C10 3018 CNC. So let's get to it. So this came in a week or so ago. When did it come in? About a week ago actually today. I got it from Gearbest, which came from China. It took a while, took about a month to get here. But I've read some fairly good reviews of this as an entry-level 3018. So I thought we'll give it a go, see how it works out. The plan is, if I can get to grips with the CNC, do the things that I want to do with it, then we'll go for something like a Shapeoko in the future. That obviously has a much bigger bed, and that will sit in this space here and come outwards into the workshop. There's plenty of space for it to go. So opening this up, everything that I've read for this says that it's a fairly straightforward setup process, so fingers crossed we have no real issues. So this does come with 10 end mills. They're probably not the greatest quality because they came included, but they should get us off to a start at least with what we're trying to do. So give those a whirl in a minute. It's worth pointing out as well, this is actually a CNC / laser engraver, so we get some funky green goggles, which I might just wear all the time. They make everything look that little bit cooler. Not to mention they make me look infinitely cooler. One other thing to mention, which is one of the reasons that I went for this over something else, is that it's screw-driven rather than belt-driven. So it should have, hopefully, a tiny bit more accuracy. But we will see. So, everything out of the box, we've got extruded aluminium, sides, length, whatever. Says we should have two of those, some Allen keys and bits, which will be in here. Bed springs, everything else. Step 1, assemble the base. I'm just going to hand tighten for now until we get everything in lined up. Then we'll cinch it down after that. So all in, it took just over an hour to set up. I did get the offline board as well. Which lets me do things like this. So we know that everything's working. It's not particularly quiet. But that's not so much a problem. We can set it to do 0.1 of a millimeter, 1 millimeter, 5 millimeters, 10 millimeters. Pretty cool. It doesn't have any stops, so there's no Z stop, X, Y stop. It doesn't have that. So if you go a bit too far, which I did at the beginning, it just grinds. Don't do that. Because it's got the offline board, it does come with a card in it. I don't know what's on the card. I don't know how to check what's on the card. I don't actually know how to get out of this menu. There we go. File. I've got an iPhone, a 222 or a 111. I don't know what any of those mean. I don't know where I need to put the board on here. I don't know any of that, so I'm not going to run any of those. It does come with this, which has the GRBL software, or the gerbil, or the gerbil, whatever people want to call it. So I'm going to run that next. There are a couple of bits in the instructions that could have been laid out better, and that is, for example, assemble the base, put all the bolts in, and then on the next page we need to get these locking nuts into the slots, but we can't do that without taking the front or the back off from the base. So I had to undo that, and then it has this bit, which is stick that on for the gantry, and then the next bit is take it back off, put the locking nuts into the back to hold the control board. So that could have been slightly better, added a couple of minutes, not significant but annoying nonetheless. It is a fairly generic instructions book, so it's got Y1 and Y2. I've only got one Y motor, so I've put it into number 1. It's working, and I haven't put the laser on yet because I'd have to take the spindle out. Spindle as well didn't have any positive or negative on there. I've just plugged it in. It's working, it's spinning. I don't know the direction it's spinning because it goes a tiny bit too fast for me to see. Go to control and go to spin. Looks like it's spinning anti-clockwise at the moment, and I guess if I switch those over it's going to switch the polarity and therefore it'll spin clockwise. I don't know which way it's supposed to spin. My guess is clockwise, but I don't know for definite, so I'm not going to mess around with it just yet. Next will be to put this on my computer, have a play around, make a little model, and then we will get some boards in here and carve something. Yeah. I'm going to pause the video for a bit, go and figure that out, then come back. So we're back. It took pretty much all of yesterday afternoon trying to get something set up. So I use Linux normally in my day-to-day, and I had some troubles getting the CNC connected to Linux, and also converting from STL to G-code and then G-code to send to the CNC. I think I've figured that out now. I've tried it on Windows, just because everything that came supplied with it was Windows based, and everything that I found on the internet was Windows based. So I've done that. I've got it running. I had a little bit of an issue where sending an M03 command, which should turn the spindle clockwise, was doing nothing. And it turns out that somehow UGS, which is a universal G-code sender, had reset my spindle speed to 0. So every time I was sending the command to turn the spindle on, it was turning on, but spinning at 0 RPM. So that was a good fun hour or so. But now that I've got that set up, I've done a test pass with a circle, a bunch of squares, just to see that everything is accurate. And when I can run the circle cut repeatedly, and it goes over the same track again and again, so it seems fairly accurate. So now I need to get it set up on Linux, and then I can run my normal operating system and run the CNC at the same time. I can run the 3D print at the same time. Yeah. So I'm actually quite impressed with how it runs. Like I say, it's fairly accurate in that we can run over the same circle again and again. I can run over the same squares again and again, and the same tracks occur. I did have to put some little clamps together temporarily just out of a piece of ply because it didn't come supplied with any. It came with the wing nuts and the bolts, but I couldn't get it to hold down with just wing nuts and bolts and a washer. So I put this very quickly, just drilled a hole through it. That works for now, but what I will do is 3D print some clamps, and I can have them just touching the edge in various places, depending on where I want to machine. Overall fairly happy. I think what I need to do now is to get some balsa or something like that, put an MDF backing board on there, so if I cut through, I'm just cutting into MDF, not into the aluminium. Get some balsa and start cutting out some shapes just to get used to it. I did end up writing some of the G-code by hand just because the files that came supplied with it weren't turning the spindle on as well. Again, that may be that it was set to 0 speed or 0 RPM, but I don't know. So I'm going to have a play, set up a couple of files, see what I can get figured out, and then once that's done, I will set up the laser and see if we can do something with that. But I'll do that as a separate video because I need to take the spindle out, put the laser in, figure all that out. And I don't want to do that today because the most important thing is that I can actually cut with it. So, thank you for watching. Do subscribe if you want to see more of what I'm going to do with the CNC. more of what I'm going to do with the printer, all that kind of stuff. Have a good day, evening, morning, night, afternoon, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.